Hey guys, the sectional violence here. We have another one for you. Back at it with UFC Vegas 94, Jandiroba versus Lemos. Pretty trash card if I'm all being honest. There's not really matchups that I'm like so excited for. Honestly, this is a pretty low tier card. Um, but we'll get through it. It is what it is. So we'll start off at the bottom with Mohammed Usman versus Thomas Petersen. This is an interesting one. Honestly, I just thing with Peterson is he comes forward, but he won't be coming forward with Usman's power. So, and he's gonna have trouble trying to take Usman down. Usman's very athletic, strong, trains, his wrestling with Usman, with his brother, I assume. We'll see though. This is a very volatile fight. Obviously, heavyweight MMA. Be careful. But honestly, with this fight, I think Usman's power is gonna be the difference here. He's gonna land the bigger shots of the two. He's gonna stuff the takedowns, and I think he's gonna win at least 2 rounds. Obviously, this is a volatile spot, so I'd play very light. But honestly, this should be a Usman win. Peterson's there to be hit. He's okay. Like he's got a decent skill set, especially when he gets you down. He's on top of you. But for the most part, if you look at his wins, Corey Mogenberger, Richard Foster, and Chandler Cole. If you look at his losses, Waldo Cortez Acosta, Jamal Pogues. Say what you want about Waldo, he's not that bad, but Jamal Pogues he's not even bad. He. I'm not even gonna get at Jamal Pogues right now. But yeah, Usman. I think Usman wins this just off of pure strength of schedule and off of the fact that he's looked better against better competition in my opinion. Junior Tafa, Jake Collier, Zach Pauga. The only loss where I was like, he looked terrible against Collier, and he lost that last fight. So honestly, I'm just passing on this one. Two heavyweights I don't really care about. So that's the best breakdown I can give you, honestly. But yeah, Eileen Usman wouldn't play it though. Moving on, we have Lucie Pudilova versus Luana Carolina. So Lucie's a pretty experienced fighter, 14-9. If you look at her record, she's faced girls like Justine Kish, Liz Carmouche, Irene Aldana, Tatiana Bernardo, Jocelyn Edwards, and Aileen Perez. Funny, they both fought recently. She's lost to both of them in robbery to Jocelyn Edwards and pretty unanimous to Aileen Perez. The thing with Luana though is she's long and hard to take down. She's training in Vegas right now, so she's got some decent looks for this fight that are similar to Lucie Pudilova. Um, Her win over Julia Storolenko was kind of just it was given to her. Pudilova has about 1 round of submission offense, then she's dead tired. Um, Against Petrovic, it's a very another style where it's like if you're doing well against Ivana Petrovic, I could see a very decisive win for Luana Carolina. If this wasn't women's MMA, I'd be all over Luana Carolina. But yeah, I lean Luana, especially at dog value. Lucie is just she's all right. She's serviceable. That's part of the reason why I'm not touching this fight. But honestly, it's gonna come to if Carolina can keep it on the feet, and if she can, I think she's gonna have her way on the feet. When her keep her range, find her strikes. I think Luana Carolina is the better fighter, maybe, but it's not by much, and it's not worth playing in my opinion. But the odds gets wider, maybe you take a little stab at her. But honestly, this is a pass spot for me. Heavyweight and then women's MMA. It's like what do you really what can you really do there? I guess live. But even then, with women's MMA, judging is terrible. So it's normally terrible as is, and then with women's MMA, they're just awful. So skip. It's another skip spot for me, but I'm gonna lean Carolina. Moving on, we have Loik Radzhabov versus Trey Ogden. Trey Ogden, another fighter who's very serviceable. The thing with him is he has good fight IQ, knows where to take the fight with the least passive resistance. Loik Radzhabov is a hard fight though, because he's hard to take down and he's got good experience, good KO power. Um, that's the main reason why I decided to stay away from this spot. Could have got Ogden a little bit better, cheaper, you know, ticket, but I didn't think the odds would keep going down. Now they're closer to pick'ems. I think Loik should be the rightful favorite, but I don't understand based off of why. Um, like I understand why he could be the favorite, but I just see it as a pick'ems. We got Ogden, who's good at wrestling, chain wrestling. His fight IQ is solid, his jiu-jitsu is solid. The only thing with Ogden is his competition isn't amazing. He's faced and beat guys like Daniel Zellhuber, great win. Kurt Hollabaugh, meh, kind of win is that in my opinion. Kurt's great guy and everything, but like he's not like title challenger in any promotion, let alone PFL, where Loik was fighting for a title in PFL against a very game fighter in what's his name? I can't remember his name. Um, Rayush Manfio. That guy, he put a beat down on Loik, but Loik showed that he can hang with the top level guys. And I know maybe Rausch wouldn't be ranked top 10 in the UFC, but regardless, Rausch is a good fighter, so definitely a hard fight for me to call. I'm going to lean Ogden, but I'm not confident. And yeah, I can honestly understand why people are passing on this spot as well. It's a close fight. Well, it's better live spot in my opinion. If Trey Ogden can't get his takedowns going, play Loik if he can. Play Trey. It is what it is. We'll see how it plays out though. Odds are pretty close now to pick 'em. So definitely, if you got a size that you're heavy on, I would get it now while the odds are even. But yeah, lean Trey Ogden here by decision. Moving on, we have Miranda Maverick versus Barbosa. Diane Barbosa. Barbosa is an interesting character. She's got a lot of jiu-jitsu, but her cardio is overrated. Her grappling is not great. Like when she lost to Rain Guerrero, for example, it's not a great loss. Or sorry, her win over Rain Guerrero is not a great win. Ernesti Karikate arguably should have won that fight. It all depends on how you scored it. Um, Josie Nunez KO'd her. Like I don't rate these girls that she's losing to, and in my opinion, Miranda Maverick has faced better girls. She is much more experienced training with good girls. Good fight IQ, great corner. All the intangibles are favoring Maverick. Do I understand why people think Barboza is a value side? Yeah, but I just wouldn't play it honestly because this is going to play out either 50-50. You're banking on Barboza making it close, or you're banking on Maverick to somehow find her way into a submission, which I don't see that happening. So I would just play this fight going to a split if you're playing Barboza, because that's what this fight's gonna go to if you're playing Barboza. But yeah, I got Maverick here. I think Maverick's gonna have her covered everywhere. But yeah, I can't play it. It's women's MMA. I made a rule with myself a little bit ago not to play it, and especially as seriously as I normally do. So I'm gonna have to pass with this one, but I think Maverick wins it. And if people keep hammering the Barbosa side, they're gonna force people to play Maverick again. So I feel this line's gonna like bounce a lot around this week. So we'll see. But yeah, I got Maverick here. I got her by decision. But yeah, let me see what. That's the only reason why I didn't want to bet this is because her path to victory is decision. She beat Andrea Lee, Priscilla Cachoeira, Shanna Young, Sabina Mazzo, Julian Robertson. Like, Julian Robertson's a solid win in hindsight. She was bigger than her, but still, I really like that win. You know, she has a few losses, but other than that, I think she should win this fight. I'm not confident enough to bet it, but I'm going to go with Maverick here. Moving on, we have Brian Boom Kelleher versus Cody Gibson. So I got to see Cody Gibson in Vegas. He's a really cool guy. He's experienced as I'll get out, 19 and 10, over 20, almost 30 pro fights. The guy's an ultra vet. He's faced Aljamain Sterling, Brad Katona, um, John Dodson. Oh, man, he's been doing it for a long, long time. He is 36 years old. This guy has seen it all. I would be like, man, I gotta fade you after your last performance because he did not look good his last performance. But he's fighting Brian Kelleher. And the problem with Brian Kelleher is he's 37. He is, you know, he was he was chewing up the calf of Cody Garbrandt before the KO, but he was, getting KO'd by Cody Garbrandt in 2023. That's not a great look. I think Cody's dangerous, still dangerous, but I don't know, man. I just think Brian's not Brian's not at the level of these guys, and if Gibson is at all his old self, I do think Gibson wins this fight, just off pure volume. Um, Maybe even a TKO. We'll see, though. Honestly, this is a very controversial fight I want nothing to do with. I do lean Cody Gibson, but the line is a little wide, so definitely a pass spot for me. But I do gotta ride with Cody as my homie. He's a freaking solid guy, but we'll see what happens, man. I gotta go with Cody Gibson by decision. Moving on, we have Hyder Amil versus Jeong Lee. So Young Lee is a very, very crafty fighter. He's fast, very, very explosive. He trains out of fight ready, so he's getting the good work in. He beat Blake Builder, Yiza, which is a controversial win. I thought Yiza won that fight. Um, a win over Yiza is huge. He's a very, very dangerous fighter. He's got one punch KO power. Hyder Amil, on the other hand, is more like a Homer Simpson style where he's trying to break you with a high pace. He TKO'd Fernie Garcia, which is a pretty hard task to do. He's beat guys like Emerson Summers, Chase Gibson, but he hasn't had the greatest strength of schedule. Honestly, if you see who he's fought, it's not really that great. I gotta go with Young Lee here. I think he's gonna win this fight by TKO or decision. I just like the game plan from Fight Ready, and I think that Hyder is very hittable, and I don't think his style is going to translate well to a young Lee, who is very, very sharp, very, very fast, and does a lot of good things, especially off people's mistakes. So I'm going to go with young Lee here by TKO in the first or second round, but we'll see what happens. Honestly, it's a pretty violent fight. It's going to be it kind of reminds me of my Gene Silva Dober prediction. I'm taking the cleaner, more technical fighter out of the two. Hyder's kind of like a Dober. Young Lee's less like he's not uses his elbows as much, but he's very, very accurate with his strikes. Very, very effective. Um, yeah, I got to go with Young Lee here, and I got to go with him by TKO or decision. Moving on, we have Bill Algeo taking on Duho Choi. Honestly, this one I don't know how I feel about it because Duho Choi, both of them have fought Kyle Nelson. Duho Choi went to a draw. Bill Algeo went to a well, he didn't go to anything. He got knocked out, or TKO'd. But I thought Duho Choi, he showed some good stuff against Kyle. Good striking, forced Kyle to wrestle. The thing is, he's inactive. His Other than his draw to Kyle, his last fight was 5 years ago. Bill Algeo is a lot of things, but he's a funky guy to fight. He stays long. Um, he has his own gym, so his coaching is I don't know, but he's got a legit black belt. He's tough as hell, and yeah, I could question the chin after the last one, but he's a decent fighter, and I do think he's gonna beat Do Ho Choi by decision. I just think he's gonna be, using his reach. sticking and moving, being, flashy like he always is, but not so much flashy, but like crowd friendly. I'm gonna go with Bill Algeo here by decision. I just feel like he's gonna be the more slick fighter, landing the better shots, getting out of the way of the big shots of Choi, and yeah, I'm gonna go with Bill Algeo here, by unanimous decision or split decision. Yeah. Moving on, we have Cody Durden versus Bruno Silva. Honestly, this fight, uh, Bruno Silva is probably I really like Bruno Silva, man, but he's still pretty unproven. If you look at who he's fought, he trained another Fight Ready, which is a great gym, but he hasn't fought in over a year. Um, you know, the guys he's beat, old Tyson Nam by submission, which is pretty impressive. Victor Rodriguez and JP Baez, both of them are not in the UFC. His losses are to David Dvorak, which is not a good loss in hindsight, and Tagir Ulanbekov. Tagir is forgivable though. Honestly, the guy's turned it up a bit. He's a black belt in BJJ and very dangerous with his hands. I think Cody Durden lacks. I mean, he can be dangerous with his hands, and he's got good wrestling. But I just got to go with Bruno Silva here. I just think Silva's gonna have the finishing upside, and he's just, um, he's got a good game plan at Fight Ready. They train well. I gotta trust in Bruno Silva here. Although this will be his most like notable win if he does pull this one off. So I'm going to go with Bruno Silva here. Cody Durden, he's easily finished. Not easily, but like he can be finished. And he's just, relies on his wrestling and against a guy who comes from a gym where there are a lot of wrestlers. And I just think Cody Durden's another body he's seen. So gonna go with Bruno Silva here. Moving on, we have Kynan Kruchewski versus Kerr Halabaugh. Kerr Halabaugh is a very, very experienced fighter. The only thing with problem with Kurt Halabaugh is he will concede guard, and that is not a good thing. In 2024, I worry Kynan can ride out position times and maybe even find a TKO. But I think the hands of Halabaugh are going to be there. I think he could find the KO. Halabaugh by KO is live. I think Halabaugh is a very, very dangerous threat here, especially at a slow pace fight. Kynan is definitely off the juice, so he will be. I feel like he'll be finished relatively not too with too much difficulty. I think Kerr Halabaugh finds the finish if there is one, and yeah, I got to go with Kerr Halabaugh here. It's a slight lean. I'm not confident. Kynan could easily show up in his old form, but I just think Kynan is not the same when he's not on the juice, and I just don't think he looked good at all against Elvis Brenner, and yeah, I just think Kerr Halabaugh can be active with his hands, and he's shown that he can be, someone you got to watch out for at times. And I'm not saying this is a pick you guys should go run and bet on. This is not a fight I would bet on, but I gotta lean Kurt Halabaugh off of experience and off of not being on roids and like needing them. I just Kurt Halabaugh. It seems like he's a little bit mentally tougher, and I gotta ride with that. Moving on, we have Steve Garcia versus Sungwoo Choi. Sungwoo Choi is a very, very untrustworthy human being. He has, pretty solid striking. Beat Jarno Aarons, which is no easy task. But the problem with that is he's lost to Michael Trezano, Culibao, and Caceres, which is not a great losses in hindsight. He can be KO'd. He got TKO by Trezano. I think Garcia can easily TKO him. So definitely a fight I have no interest in. If he beat Yusuf Zalal, like that makes absolutely no sense. But he beat Yusuf Zalal, beat Julian Erosa. Like he has good wins on his record, but like this is such a volatile fight. Two guys with not the greatest of chins, who are down to scrap. One's a little more technical than the other. It's kind of you don't want to bet on this fight. Just don't overthink it. Go with Garcia, the ones who's riding the momentum. I know Wu Choi's coming off a win, but the win was pretty close at moments, and yeah, Garcia's been on a tear as of late. So I'm gonna go with Garcia here. Not confident, slight lean, but we'll see what happens. Most of this card is 50-50 like the last card, so don't be too don't be too ready to bet this card. It's awful. Moving on, we have Jeong Park versus Brad Tavares. I honestly am like at the price they're giving me, like I'm leaning Brad Tavares. Tavares is one of those fighters that like he'll always know what you're going to expect with him, and he makes the fight close. And I could see a nice split decision, Tavares going his way, unanimous, whatever it is. I could just see Tavares winning this fight. I think Young Park has a good jab, knows how to mix in his jiu-jitsu with his wrestling, with it because his wrestling isn't great, and he won't be able to take down Tavares, but he will be able to, out jiu-jitsu Tavares, in my opinion. But we'll see if that even happens because Tavares has great hips, good at getting, people off of him. The only thing with Tavares is he's not the same as he once was, and he's not as dangerous. He can still hit decently hard. It's just, like, I don't know. Like Park, definitely, you don't need a lot to hurt Park, but still, I don't know. This is another weird fight. I would pass personally, but if you're gonna play this fight, I would definitely play Tavares' side. I just feel like he has a lot of value on a decision. His wins over Albert Duraev, Tallulah, and Joseph Holmes don't really impress me that much. Eric Anders is kind of washed at this point. I mean, he's decent. Don't get me wrong, like he can win this. This is a 50-50 fight in my opinion, but I definitely I'm at this price I'm leaning Tavares, but it's not a fight that I have any interest in betting personally. I just feel like this is a recipe for disaster, this fight. But yeah, definitely be careful with this one. This is gonna be all optics and it's gonna go to a decision. So I'll be very shocked to see anything else. But yeah, moving on to the main event, we have Amanda Lemos taking on Virna Jandiroba. Honestly, this is a fight that I like, but I don't know, man. Like Jandiroba could just wrestle her out, like say a wet blanket on top of her with her jiu-jitsu for the 3 rounds or 5 rounds, and or maybe even get a sub. I just wouldn't bank on it. Jandiroba is pretty control heavy. She doesn't really hunt submissions. She hunts the control. Amanda Lemos is pretty defensively safe. The problem is her grappling isn't great. I gotta go with Lemos just because it starts on the feet and Jandiroba is a liability on the feet. But honestly, it's a low confidence pick. Another pick 'em fight. No confidence in this fight whatsoever. Big pass for me. I gotta go with Lemos though, just finishing equity on the feet. Um, but yeah, man, I would be very careful on betting this one. It's a hard one you can bet with confidence, like pretty much the story of this card. So I'm gonna go Amanda Lemos here by decision. I think Verna's tough, and I think she'll be able to survive to a decision, but she could also get TKO'd. We'll see. I'm gonna go Lemos though. Yeah. Moving on. Let's go to the most confident predictions. Number one, Young Lee. Number two, Miranda Maverick. Number three, Cody Gibson. Number four, Bill Algeo. And number five, Bruno Silva. Definitely a hard card to predict as far as locks go or whatever you guys want. Like I know you guys really want bets to make on this card. This is a hard card, so don't give yourself a hard time if you don't do great. It's meant to be a hard card, so we'll see what happens, guys. Alrighty, like, subscribe. You know the drill. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.